We are live, coming at you from North Attleboro, Massachusetts. I'm just waiting for Coach Andrew to get on. He should see the notification coming in. I think I can invite him again here too. We're going to be talking about cardio today, and really looking forward to chat about this actually, because he is a master of cardio. All right, Andrew, do you see me? Are you out there? Shelly, good morning. Great to have you. We're just waiting for Coach Andrew to pop in. Coach Andrew. So you see it, but you don't see a button to join. Oh, you have to be on your mobile. Are you not on mobile? Oh yeah, you have to be on mobile to join a mobile live. So that's your problem. That's why you have to have it on a phone. Okay, yeah, I can't hear you. You're muted. All right, we're gonna end this so that you don't have to stare at me, or maybe we won't. Maybe we'll wait. We'll let Andrew sort it out. If you guys are watching on recording, then or live, you can hang out with us for a few minutes. I'll talk to you guys as you come in. Shelly, good morning. Or you can just fast forward 5 minutes or 6 minutes to where Coach Andrew joins. We'll be talking about the topic of the day. But hope everyone's having a great start to their week. And let me know if you are watching this on recording. There he is! If you are watching this on recording, let me know if you saw the podcast from yesterday, because that was a really fun one to make, and I've gotten good feedback from it. All right. Coach Andrew, if you just want to give me a little rotation to portrait so we can see you there. Look at that. Can you hear me? Man, technology is it's a fun time. Test. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can. We're in. Look at that. It's like perfection. Go. So yeah.
Technology is great. So
we're gonna make it happen. All right, let's tag everyone in here. Give everyone a little taggy tag. Today we're talking about cardio. Let me just refresh the page so I can tag everyone. Mindy, good morning. Great to see you. Hope you're having a great day. All right, tagging everyone, and let's talk cardio. All right. What are we talking about today?
All right. So there's a lot of like the common knowledge, I guess, that's floating around right now. You should straighten your face off as much as possible. And yes, I absolutely agree that we should be lifting, doing strength training, definitely frequently throughout the week. But I think what often gets missed is how we're conditioning or training our system. And strength training is typically an anaerobic exercise where our body doesn't really need oxygen to do the energy required to lift heavy weights off the ground, to push, to pull, to throw, to do anything like that. And so if we think about our day, if we're already stressed out, if we're already working hard from like 12-hour shifts, and then we go home and then we're hustling and bustling, trying to get kids here and there, and all this stuff, we're in an anaerobic state or really close to it all day long. And if we're trying to achieve something different, if we're trying to lose weight, the last thing we should do is keep training anaerobically even more for like an hour on top of the hours that we've already been in that anaerobic state. And so usually what gets missed is, and especially with the Instagram experts, is how I refer to them, is they don't talk about aerobic exercise. Somehow aerobic exercise got this bad rap that you shouldn't do it or it doesn't do anything. And I don't know how that happened or when that happened, but that is one of the first things that we should do when we do any type of transformation program, is how are we conditioning our aerobic system to work and to kick on when we need it.
This is really interesting because, obviously if we think high level, there's different layers of complexity when it comes to fat loss, right? Now, on a very high level, if somebody's like new and trying to wrap their head around the topic, yes, hey, look, calories in, calories out. If you burn more calories than you eat in a day, you're going to lose weight. Now, that is very high level, and it's true when you're thinking, if you have to think in black and white. However, when we start getting more nuanced, there's many shades of gray. To your point, if you have good calories in, calories out, and what should be balanced, how many calories you should be burning, but you're not losing weight, is there more things going on? Yes, one of the things you mentioned was the stress response. What happens if you are chronically in this fight or flight mode and you have a slow drip of cortisol all the way through the day?
Right.
And cortisol's not bad, right? Cortisol, you need it. Otherwise,
right.
you wouldn't wake up in the morning, right?
right.
You need
That's
it.
Right.
But the question,
we need it.
The question is like, how much do you need, right?
Right.
Water is great for you. You can also drown in it, and you can kill yourself from toxicity of water. So, there is no good and bad. It's just how can we not modulate it? Maybe that's the word, but how can we reduce it? How can we, with this whole topic, do cardio that lowers our stress response, because our life usually has enough stress in it. And really quick, Gloria, good morning. Gloria, also, hey, Sean let me know that you joined the program yesterday. I'm super excited. Congrats, Gloria. Great to have you a layer deeper. Tammy, good morning. Kevin, good morning. Amity, good morning. Mindy, good morning. So let's talk. Let's hit it.
Okay, so when we think anaerobic energy, usually that's when we have to respond like you're describing. We're responding to stress. It's not like stress gradually comes up on us where it's like, oh, a mile away, I see stress coming at me. Let me get my mind right. Let me get prepared and primed. It doesn't happen. We have to get it now. We have to react now. So then we go anaerobic. So if that's happening all day, where stuff's coming at us, we're anaerobic. We're not in a steady state. So like we really need to train our bodies as much as possible when we're sleeping, when we're talking like this, when we're hanging out, when we are in a non-stressed state. Our body wants to turn on that aerobic system to where to use it, and I'm sure most people know this, but to use oxygen, the chemical process to get oxygen into our stored body fat to burn it off is a long, slow chemical process. It takes minutes, potentially, just to get the process going. So if we put ourselves in a low intensity, that's not intervals, not yet, but low intensity for a long period of time, we give our body the opportunity to learn how to burn fat efficiently. And the more we condition that system, so every day, go for a 30-minute walk, go for a 30-minute bike ride, do something that's steady and long, you are going to condition, you're going to teach. It's not a boot camp.
Right.
Not.
I think we're obsessed with this idea of I just got to get more in less time.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I follow that philosophy of more bang for your buck, but when it comes to effort, not time, right? Like for you, like the most important thing if we're looking to sustain forever is we have to associate low pain to these actions and get a high result or high reward. It doesn't even have to be a result per se, but that does lead to high reward. But I love this because it's not about necessarily how many calories can I burn in the least amount of time, because again, that increases the stress response. It's, hey, let me, maybe, again, this is why I don't even like looking at exercise as burning calories.
Right. I agree.
I like to look at exercise as more of a mental, like this is for more your mental health. Don't get me wrong, it's for your physical, of course, you're going to burn fat from it, fine. But getting out in nature is super powerful. Just being able to breathe, like talking about chemical processes, when you exercise, you change your biochemistry, like in the moment, right? Your brain, your chemistry in your brain changes. Now that's powerful because it can bring you from an anxiety state to one of being more, we'll say, I don't want to say calm per se, but like present. And that's super powerful as well, because that's going to bring down your stress response, your cortisol, all that good stuff. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, this is good. But you're right. It's like this is a lifestyle habit because we're truly trying to optimize what our body is able to do.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you would agree when someone hits a plateau and they're crushing themselves in an hour-long workout, potentially every day.
Yeah, 75
And
hard or twice a day.
yeah, and they're carrying, their professional life, which I know pretty much all of our clients have really important, crucial, potentially very stressful jobs that you and I know they're at,
That's true.
And they're being
Yeah.
exposed to often throughout the week. And, they want to do awesome in their personal life. I want to be available for my kids, or I want to make sure they get off to school. I need to, make their foods first before I make my own. It's like stress, stress, stress. So if we're thinking lifestyle, let's throw something different into the mix. And like you said, it is about our energy. I like to call it our physiology,
Yep.
which is, in my mind, it's you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. How are you taking care of that? Potentially, like you said, go for a walk. We're not trying to burn calories. We're not trying to get so many steps, but we are trying to teach our physiology how to work more efficiently. And what I think is the proof is when you are doing this, if it feels like you could just keep walking, like you could keep that pace for longer than 30 minutes, you've done something. And you can almost feel it. You can almost feel like you're in a zone, the sweet spot, or whatever you might want to call it. You've tapped into that aerobic fat burning system, and it's primed and it's going.
I think this is wonderful too, because another benefit to this is more energy, but it's not more energy that you create, it's less energy that you spend, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you develop wealth? Well, you just spend less money than you make, right? I mean, that's how you develop wealth. That is a really easy situation. Same thing with energy, right? As long as we have a baseline amount of sleep, baseline amount of good food, then it's just how do I actually spend less energy? Have you ever had a super stressful day, even if you get nothing done, but you're super stressed out? Let's just say you're stressed out about, something that, I don't know, is feels like it's going to, I'll say, have a big impact, but, you're worrying. I'll use this example because, this is, near and dear to my heart, right? My mom. So my mom is a caretaker at heart. She ran a daycare for 27 years. She was an amazing mom, super nurturer. She worries like crazy. So like I remember all the way through my childhood, my brother would come out, till 2 a.m. He wouldn't be coming home because he's with his friends. And she stays awake and she's worried. Now, even though she has no control over it, she's worried. She didn't do any activity, but her stress response is up. So she's burning energy. Think of it almost like a candle where like let's just say hypothetically, I like to think in metaphors. If you have this candle, your goal is to keep the wax there as much as you can. Now, don't get me wrong, you have bursts. Like right now, my first 3 hours of the day are high burst energy. I work out, I take caffeine, I'm talking to you here because I want to show up for you guys, right? I want to be able to show up. Sounds funny. This is why I was laughing before, because when you were like, we want to train ourselves to be, aerobic. And I'm thinking to myself, right now I'm not aerobic, baby.
Right.
I'm like, I'm here, I'm ready, I want to be on. But yes, the majority of the time, are you aerobic? I think a lot of us get into this position where we think, if I'm awake, I'm stressed. If I'm awake, I'm going. And then when we're resting, we're literally just exhausted and we fall asleep. It was funny. I was talking to a client recently, and she had said, I have no problem sleeping at all. Because, and this is someone who's super stressed out, but she said, I have no problem falling asleep. And I'm like, well, let's look. And it's because she's so exhausted. Yeah, of course, she has, her body's crashing every night. And it's funny because I've had clients as well that have gotten to a better mental state, stress-wise, and they actually start having problems sleeping. And it's like, why? Why do they have problems falling asleep? Well, because they for the last 20 years have gotten to a point that, okay, time for bed, I'm exhausted. Now they're not exhausted. So now they actually have to have a ritual to relax their brain, go from this excitatory state to being more relaxed so they can actually fall asleep. Very interesting. But these are the things that happen as we level up, right? As we, increase our health. Melissa, good morning. Rendell, good morning. Dana, good morning. And also with that example I just gave, does this resonate to anybody? Is anyone at that point? It's okay, right? We're all at different parts. are you at a point right now where, man, I'm just exhausted? Like when I lay down, I pass the hell out. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I'm curious, is there anyone out there? Like, let me know. Danielle, good morning as well. I'm pausing to give you room.
Oh, for me. So tag. So yeah. So and that's like to your point. To your point, that's part of that anaerobic system, right? Is it's not for infinity that it's there.
Right.
It does get depleted, right? So like we talk about ATP, we talk about glycogen, we talk about lactic acid. There's a limit to that system. And what happens is that system gets really good. It gets really efficient. I'd be willing to wager that almost everyone in our group has awesome anaerobic systems.
Yeah.
Because
they have to. Yeah.
They have to, right? For the years of just doing what they do anaerobically, using ATP, using lactic acid, rebuffering it, the Krebs cycle, all that jazz. It's awesome, right? It's just awesome. But what happens is when our bodies adapt in that way, it just gets used to using something that it knows it can use whenever it needs to. That anaerobic system is wired for that. So that's why we got to keep coming back to that aerobic system and not ignoring it. Otherwise, again, things can get really frustrating if nothing changes. We can't, it's a definition of crazy, right? Expecting a different outcome from doing the same thing. So it's just thinking of that. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and like, this is exactly where I was at in my 20s. Like, I was building my first gym. I was go. Like, that was my life. And I would just be exhausted. A day I don't have caffeine, I can't do anything. I was shocked. So just being able to, again, kind of rebalance. Tasha says, definitely on night shift Mondays. Yeah, right? I mean, that's another thing. A lot of us in this group are on night shift. We have undulating sleep cycles. So like that puts it even, I'll say another factor into the mix. So talking about aerobic really quick. All right, for people just tuning in, or they're coming in late, or they're listening on the recording and they fast forwarded to this point, what can I do to start training my aerobic capacity? Not just by, going on walks, but, what are some quick actions that take 60 seconds or less, or maybe we don't have to go that low, 5 minutes or less, that I can do to shift myself out of anaerobic, out of this kind of heightened stress state, to pushing more into this aerobic, more sustainable energy state.
Breath work. I mean, I love that. Breath work. Breath work. And I like what you said, a minute, literally a minute. It could be transitioning from like you're in one room before you go into the next room, wherever you're walking to, 3 to 5 seconds in, 3 to 5 seconds out. Nobody would know you're doing it. Yep. Nobody would know that you're doing something very intentional, but truly breathing, getting air into your system, and then blowing it out. There's another technique called box breathing, which I like because it adds some more, it talks some more intentionality to what we do. So like there's many variations. I like 5-5-5. So breathe in for 5 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, and then literally just taking that one round, I'd be shocked if anyone doing that doesn't immediately feel a difference happening in your body. Now, if you do that, so let's do like 5 rounds of that. That's about a minute. So if you're doing 5-5-5, 5 seconds in, hold for 5 seconds, 5 seconds out, 5 rounds of that is about 1 minute, almost exactly. And so that, if you're doing that every hour, let's say, throughout the day, night shift, day shift, at home, at work, wherever you're at, that's one way to, again, teach your body how to use its systems a little bit more efficiently, if not a lot more efficiently. So when you are performing, when you are lifting, when you are performing at work and you're able to recover, your body wants to go back to this aerobic system to recover, to let that anaerobic system replenish itself.
Yeah, I love that. Tasha says 5 night shift last week. Jesus. You're
Tasha.
a rock star. You're a rock star.
Yeah,
I see Coach Chase here as well. Chase, you got anything to add to this? I'm tempted to click bring you on video to see if you have anything to add to this as well. I'll send you an invite just in case. I know. Oh wait, they can't join your broadcast at this time. Psych. He probably left. Got it. Yeah, this is something that again, I just shared a second ago that in my 20s, I was very much in this heightened state all the time. And I believed that I was always trying to make it higher. That was my goal. How can I have more energy? How can I push harder? How can I, all these things? Till I realized that, like, Eastern philosophy, right? The yin and yang, man, it's thousands of years old. They kind of have it right. It's the yin yang isn't just a black circle. It's not just a circle of like, go. It's half black, half white, right? And that's like half rest, half go. And I believe that the higher highs, that if you want to experience a higher high, you have to have a lower low. Now, a lot of us don't want to feel lows. And trust me, this is me. I did not want to feel lows because I was afraid of them. I was afraid of, and this is going to sound super corny, but it's real. I would feel like when I would sit down in my 20s on a couch and have no stimulation, no phone, just sitting there, I would feel a gnawing of uncomfortable, like it was so poor. Like the feeling was terrible, so much so I'd grab for my phone or I'd try to do something. I'd go into the Facebook groups of one of my gyms and start talking to people. It was so uncomfortable for me to just sit. And this now goes into like the culture we live in, distraction culture, right? A lot of us, I'll say, just people in general, and this is where I was for so many years. I was stuck in not wanting to feel my own emotions because I didn't want to feel the bad ones. But of course, what does that lead to? And this is what RNs are taught. This is what we're taught as nurses, right? You're going through, hey, you can't feel anything towards the patient that's dying because that's going to make you worse at your job. And you can't be a blubbering mess every day. So you have to learn how to almost like compartmentalize your feelings and shut them down. And that's what I did for many years. But it's not healthy. No. So like learning to sit in our feelings is kind of like in this same realm of like coming out of aerobic and go. Like literally how I felt was I couldn't let my feelings catch up. I would just keep going. And then eventually again, I would crash. And then it's like, oh my gosh, all these, all this stuff comes out.
Yeah.
Good morning, Jack.
I mean, I think you're also describing too, like that feeling, right, of when I get home, I just need to chill out and watch TV, or I just need to chill out and scroll. And then that 5 minutes turns into an hour, turns into 2 hours. Like when those things are happening, that's actually your body saying, hey, I want to recover. I want to replenish. I want to recalibrate. I want to refresh. And I know the temptation is real of like, oh, this is a great show on Netflix. And it's like, they just unlocked the whole season and I just want to chill out. Like, I think we need that from time to time, but I would challenge the idea though of go for a walk. See if that gives you what you feel like you need more so in less time, more so than hours of binging where you're just, and again, you're not really in a position that you're going to be breathing, intentionally or unintentionally. Like the walking literally puts you into that breathing cycle that we're trying to encourage to help you get oxygen into your system. So that's my challenge with aerobic versus anaerobic is give it 2 weeks of 30 minutes a day of going for a walk on a scale of 1 to 10, perceived exertion, like a 5 or a 6, nothing above that. And not walking your dog if your dog stops and starts and sniffs and does all this stuff. Like get into a steady state. And if it's by yourself, that would be my encouragement to help you stay in that one speed for as long as you can for 30 minutes. Come back and breathe and just notice how your posture is. Notice how you might feel. Notice how you're breathing. Notice like what's coming up next in your day. Like, do you feel like you can take on more? If that's the case, you've tapped into an energy system that's been there that now with anaerobic, if you got those two systems complementing each other and one's turning on, one's turning off, and then they switch back and forth, you're going to feel a whole different energy throughout the day, throughout the week. It's literally an untapped resource within your body. And that's why I'm sure many of us do this is when people start, I really emphasize that walking more than lifting initially.
Sure.
I love lifting. I don't want anyone to think like I'm an anti-lifting because I got the kettlebells, the Star Wars kettlebells. I got the steel mace. I got all the, the accoutrement we can get as trainers. But we got to teach this aerobic system to work. Otherwise, we miss the boat. And the last thing I want anyone to feel is frustrated with their efforts.
To your point about can you get the same thing you're looking for that from Netflix, which is essentially relaxation, a recharge, a refresh from less time doing something else, with this thing being aerobic walking. Something I totally identify with this because I grew up at the age of like MMORPGs, World of Warcraft, right? I grew up playing like so many, and like I still dabble time to time. It's like some people sample wines, I sample video games, right? But
right, sure.
But what I will say is, in my 20s, when I would be needing that refresher, I wouldn't go to Netflix, but I'd go to video games, and I'd binge probably twice or three times as long as people would watch Netflix. I'm talking 12-hour days on my days off. I don't do that anymore, but I will say this. One of the things that helped me tremendously was realizing, like, what is one of the parts of an MMORPG? It's the social element. A lot of times when I feel the pull to play an MMORPG, like World of Warcraft or whatever, really I'm missing connection. So it's very interesting, not all the time, but every feeling we get is a signal. And signals we can either ignore or we can, listen to what they're saying and try to do something different. A lot of times we try to fix our signals, and we shouldn't necessarily be trying to do that, because like feeling like you need connection with another human being or feeling the deficit of that is always probably going to come at some point or another. And it's just being able to recognize that signal and then being able to do something different. So the example really quick is for me, when I would feel the pull to play video games, I wouldn't say to myself, I can't go play, assuming I have time and whatever. Instead, I would take 20 minutes first or 5 minutes, and I would call a friend. I would just talk to him. And sometimes, honestly, it's like, no one's available. Hey, I'm going to go play games. I'm going to go watch Netflix, whatever. Other times, it turns into, oh yeah, I'm not doing anything either. Let's go play pickleball. Let's go for a walk. Let's go walk my dog. Let's go, or my friends that have moved away, let's talk on the phone. Let's FaceTime.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, but literally in a 20 or 30-minute conversation, I feel refreshed and ready to take on my whatever, even if I'm not taking on a day, just like I feel better than if I were to binge for 6 hours, right? So that's a really interesting thing is, I'm stealing this right from Tony Robbins, but Tony Robbins says we have 4 main human needs: certainty, uncertainty, significance, and love and connection. And it's funny because a lot of these first two conflict each other, and the last two conflict each other: certainty and uncertainty, right? Certainty, just in case anyone hasn't heard this, is your ability, or it's your need to know, that things are going to happen the way you expect, right? But what happens when you are too certain? You're bored. Because, right, we do the same thing every day. We're bored out of our mind. If we knew when things are going to happen, how they're going to happen, we'd be bored.
Yeah.
So we also have the need for uncertainty or variety. This is why people like going to fancy restaurants and trying new things and going to new places and travel. Uncertainty. Yep. But it's funny because these two things are not. I spent so long of my 20s trying to develop systems for all of this to be perfectly balanced forever. Guess what? That's not how life is. It's a constant dichotomy that needs to be managed, right? A dichotomy is two truths or two ideals that are both true, and you have to balance between them in a sea of gray. There is no black and white. So you're always balancing between certainty and uncertainty, which one you need more. And then you have significance and connection and love. Significance is your feeling of unique and like I'm special. I have a certain degree. I make a certain amount of money. Whatever makes you feel special. But then you also have connection, which is the opposite. So this one is like I'm special and unique and one in a million, and this one is I need to feel connected. So completely different, right? But they just need to be managed. A lot of my 20s, I strived for significance and certainty, where now I'm realizing, oh man, that comes so naturally to me. I really need to be prioritizing and putting more effort towards feeling connected in love. You know, so that's a big rant. Does this resonate with anybody? Like, let me know in the comments. Is this like any light bulbs going off for people? Like, please let me know. I know there's 10 of you watching. I don't want to be talking at you guys as much as I'm talking at Andrew right now. You know, I want this to be a conversation. Lena, good morning. Jackie, good morning. What human needs do you gravitate towards? Do you identify
I use the necessity model where we have 4 forces of necessity. We have identity and obsession, which are internal, and then we have duty or obligation and urgency, which are external. And so for any given thing that we're typically doing that we care about, we're feeling at least one of those forces of necessity.
Can you say them again? What are they again?
So we have 4 forces. 2 are internal, 2 are external. The 2 internal are identity, so how you identify yourself, how you're unique to everyone else on the planet. You know, that's a big necessity that we have. Like, I want to be special. I want to be unique to my peers. We also have obsession. So it's like, what is forcing that necessity to be obsessed about something positively in our life? So like, you know, in terms of like what we do, you know, as professionals, are we obsessed to be mediocre? Probably not. But are we obsessed to be awesome and great and like to make a difference? Typically, yes. So that's a force of necessity. Like, I want to honor that. I want to be obsessed about being my best. You know, the whole idea of like, be your best self. Like, what does that mean?
Right.
Well, hopefully that touches on your identity and it touches on your obsession to be your best, whatever that is. So those are the 2 internal ones, identity and obsession. And then the external ones are duty or obligation. So like, you know, feeling a calling to something, feeling purpose to something, typically is where I feel obligated, like to my family. I feel obligated as a father, as a husband, to my family. That's external, right? Or, you know, obligated to RN body transformations. Like, that's a duty. I feel that force necessity to be who I am in this role. You know, that's duty, obligation. And then the other external force is urgency. You know, I need to do this now. It's not, well, I want to do this now, or I should try to do it now. I need to do this now. So like, changing our life is a great example of that. Some people aren't ready because they don't feel the urgency. But then something happens to force that urgency of, I should be doing something about this now, not in 3 months, 2 months. So, you know, it's a question that we often ask, like, why now? Why do you want to start doing a program like this now? Well, I had a health scare, or I'm tired of how I feel, or I know I'm not going to change if I just keep doing the same thing over and over. So there's an urgency. There's some fire. I like to think the fire under your butt to do something is that urgency. And so if we can use all 4, chances are we're going to change something in our life because the necessity is there. And necessity is always more powerful than want. And I often think of goals and then problems and pain. Goals are awesome, but they don't always challenge our forces of necessity. But if I have a problem, if I have a pain, it's going to touch one or more of those forces of necessity. I'm going to do something about it.
Yes.
Like, none of us want to be in pain. None of us want to have problems. So either it touches on my identity or my obsession to be my best, or there's an obligation that I must meet to get out of that pain or get out of that problem, or there's urgency. If I don't change this, my life will get worse. And sometimes goals, which are great and we need them, don't always touch on those forces of necessity to get us to do something, to move. And so that's one thing I often listen for is, why are you doing this? Like, why does this matter?
So you're saying
and
almost any want that you want, anything that you want, you need to figure out a way to put it in those 4 boxes, and then
If
you'll feel pulled to
possible.
do it. Is that
If possible, because sometimes we don't have, like, on a scale of 10, sometimes not everything's a 10 out of 10, right?
Sure.
And some things might be a 10 out of 10, but others might not be. And
Interesting.
that's okay. But again, if we're really working on changing our lives, can we raise that level of necessity to a 7, an 8, a 9, a 10 even, with some intention, some conscious thought, I need to change this.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, then we convince ourselves, oh, this doesn't really matter, or I'm not really bought into it, or now's not really the right time. It's because we're not tapping into that necessity of why we're doing this. So if someone says I want to change, if someone says I want to change my life versus I need to change my life,
of course,
there's a lot to unpack there. Yeah. Tell me why you need to change your life, because that is the motivation. That's going to keep you getting up, doing something, doing like what we're describing with activity, meal prepping, getting your water in. That need is going to help you take care of it. But if that's not there, I want to change my life, it's tempting to talk ourselves out of it. I don't know if I want it that bad.
Right.
I don't know if it's really something I want now, and that kind of dialogue, that kind of language comes up, not all the time, but from time to time. And it's something that I listen for with our people, with my friends, with my wife, is, do you need to do this, or do you want to do it? And why? And why? Tell me more. Why do you feel that way?
Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I like it.
That's a whole other rabbit hole.
I was going to say, that's a whole discussion. Maybe we do it, next week. Yeah. This was great. We've already been live, I think, for 30 minutes. 40 minutes, man. This has to be, that's how it goes. Angelique, good morning. Hopefully this is helpful, guys. I know a lot of times we start these podcasts and, it's maybe 10 minutes talking about the topic, and then we just go and take it wherever it goes. So hopefully this is beneficial. If it was, at any way, feel free to like it. It sends it to more people in the group. You can comment. Same thing. Engagement helps show it to more people in the group. And if you are at all interested in working with Coach Andrew or any of our coaches, you can click the link somewhere to apply and work with us and be rocking and rolling. Cool. Hope you have a super great day. Thanks for joining us, Andrew. And I guess we'll hop back on Zoom. See you guys soon.
Yeah.